Hello and welcome back to my kitchen. Thank you very much for your support in all these videos, and I do ask that you subscribe, share them with everybody, send in your comments and your thoughts, perhaps some requests I can work with. So let's jump into today's project. If you're having a party like a football game or maybe the World Cup, or you're just looking for a healthy snack, or you need something to go along with your tequila, nothing answers all of that better than some homemade guacamole. And that's going to be the project for today. So let's jump right in and take a look at what we're going to need. Okay, so we will need a fork to mix everything, a spoon to scoop out the avocado, a good knife because we're going to be cutting a variety of different things, a cutting board on which to do it. And for two people here, I would say that for any one person, 2 avocados is going to be enough. So this is going to be for my wife and I. We're going to have 4 avocados, and I know that they're right because they've got a little bit of give. And when we open them, we'll make sure that there's no brown. These are Hass avocados, the kind from the west coast of the Americas, mostly from Mexico and California. And you want to make sure that they're brown and they're kind of mushy, but not absolutely a mess. I'm going to use 1 to 2 tomatoes, depending on the size of them. It's all kind of a mix to taste. And 1 medium onion, and I may not even use this entire thing. You're gonna need a bowl to mix it in. You'll need salt and pepper, and you will need lemon juice from 1 lemon. We squeeze it because we use it in some drinking water. And I mentioned that you could use a fork for mixing this, and that'll give you kind of chunky guacamole. But if you wanted it real smooth, you could use a mixer, which I won't be demonstrating because it's more to clean, but really I'm okay with the chunky. I like that. So that's what we're going to use, and it takes about half an hour to prepare what we're going to look at here. So let's jump right in with the avocados. Okay, so we start with the avocado because that forms the base, and based on how much meat we actually get out of the avocados is what we're going to mix in terms of onions and everything else. So I'm going to take my knife, and there's a pit in the middle of an avocado, and I am just going to very carefully go around the entire avocado until I meet myself on the other side. You may get this little pit here where the stem was attached. Take that off, and if I've done it well, I should be able to. Now I lost my 2 halves there. Let's see, where were they again? There we go. Okay, I should be able to slide it like that and pull it apart. And then I'm going to very carefully chop into the pit and kind of twist it a little bit to take it out. Now, one thing that I do to get it off the knife, because you don't want to be grabbing at the blade, I can just take my fork and pop it off and set it to the side. And so then I'm going to take my bowl and my spoon, and you'll see there's maybe just a little bit of brown, but this is really a perfect avocado. It's nice and mushy, so I'm just gonna scoop that all out. And that's just perfect. And I got all of the meat out of the shell or the rind or whatever you call it on an avocado, right? And there you go. And in case we missed anything, we can do that one more time. So I'm gonna take off the piece of the stem, and I'm gonna cut right around the middle till I meet myself. And this time I'm going to not lose where it was. There, another perfect one. Take that out, pop it off, and scoop out the meat into my bowl, and then just repeat for the other ones. And now we'll see you with the tomatoes and the onions. Okay, so we have crushed up or opened up our 4 avocados, and now we're about to crush them. If you ever get some brown spots on them that bother you, cut around it and get the good white stuff, because it should all pretty much look like that, right? And then I'm gonna use my fork and just mash it against the side. And if it's ripe enough, it should mash just fine. And that's why I was saying a moment ago that there really isn't a need, if they are ripe enough, to use the mixer. You really don't need to, and it'll come up with a consistency kind of like that just from crushing them once. And if you stir it, it'll become more creamy. which is just great. Some people will put olive oil in here, and that's perfectly okay. It adds a little bit more oily flavor to it. Hass avocados are a heavy, oily based avocado to begin with, so I don't think that they really need it. I don't know that it does anything for the preservation, so I'm just gonna mash this all up, and then we'll come back and start cutting tomatoes and mix those in a second. I know I keep putting off the tomatoes, but we're gonna get there. So after we have mashed them all, we can stir it up a little bit, and that's where you get your crunchy. It should go without saying that anytime we cook, you always wanna have rags or paper towels because inevitably you'll make a mess. Okay, so let's just set that to the side for a moment and grab a tomato. Now, one thing that I've learned in cooking is you really wanna hold things very carefully. Don't put your fingers out there because it's way too easy to cut yourself. So holding kind of with the knuckles forward gives you something to rest on. And just slice it up. This is gonna make it easier to slice. It's good to have a good sharp knife as well, because that way you're not fighting, and a dull knife is actually more dangerous than a sharp one. This is where it gets a little tricky. Keep your fingers out of the way, pay attention to what you're doing, okay? And then we can just kind of slice them back and forth. Again, watch where your fingers are in space. Kind of turn it, and we want to cut it into little square pieces, kind of like that. I don't really like to chop them because I'll find like crunch, crunch, crunch. That way, oftentimes they will squish, but they won't cut. And that will give me more juice than I want. And we can put all of the juice that the tomatoes are gonna make into the guacamole itself. So we just very carefully slice everything up, but we don't wanna make a puree or a tomato sauce here, right? All right, so we're gonna continue that and then we'll mix it in. Okay, so we have cut up the tomatoes and we're just gonna put those right in on top. And to save us some time, I did the exact same thing with the onions. Okay, and for that, I'm going to use my spoon, and I probably don't need quite as much. So let's put in about, say, that much should be fine. You can always add more later, so we'll save those. And now we can mix it all in together, have it fly all over the island here. And now it's beginning to take form a little bit. Right? Yummy, yummy, yummy. We're actually almost done. This is really a quick process. You can whip it up. I think I said half an hour, but I would say just about 10 minutes. All right, hey, let's just keep the camera rolling and move right on. Next thing we're gonna do is grab some salt and pepper. And this is pretty much to taste. Okay, and I know how much I like, so some people like this a little bit more picante, right? So you might put in some crushed red pepper flakes or some cayenne pepper, feel free. Some salt and some pepper. And I told you that you would squeeze 1 lemon, or if you happen to have lemon juice in a bottle, or like we do here in this home, we have lemon juice already squozen. Oh, and for that, I am going to need a tablespoon. So I'll just take 1 tablespoon of my lemon juice and dump that in there. That's gonna help to preserve the guacamole between now and the time that I eat it. And so I am going to mix it all together, and it is ready to eat. And there you go. That is how you make guacamole. You can add more salt or pepper or lemon juice as you see fit, but this is ready to go. And that really didn't take any kind of time. You can eat it on chips. You can put this on a hot dog. You can put it on top of an omelet. You can just put it anywhere. You can eat it straight out of the bowl. It's just absolutely wonderful. So enjoy that. Please send pictures, comments. I'd love to hear how you're enjoying all these recipes. In the meantime, thank you for joining me in the kitchen, and we'll see you next time.